It is All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We're getting a return visit from Gregg Rolie. This is a cat who is an original member of both Santana and Journey, twice inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, longtime leader of his own band, and a longtime member of Ringo Starr's all-star band. And Gregg's back with a new record, Sonic Ranch. We're going to learn more about it. Welcome back, Gregg. Great to talk to you, man.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
Good to have you on board. And so this record really does seem like a family affair. Your son, Sean, is a main producer on it. He plays some mean guitar, too. Explain how you brought him in and also take us inside this collaboration. What about Love that you guys do together?
Yeah, I brought it to Sean, but it really started jamming with Ringo and the guys in the band. I was just playing on organ. I didn't have any of it together. Ringo loved it, just what it was, the shuffle thing and all that, and the groove. And so it never went anywhere. And so I took it home and I showed it to my son, who's producing it. And I said, think about Rob Zombie in a way. I want to take it to that kind of heaviness if we can. So that's kind of where it came from. And then I asked him to put a slide on here.
And your son, now, that's a cool thing. I think a lot of people would treasure the opportunity to get to work with a family member in any capacity. Share a little bit of the story of your son's upbringing and how you turned him into this rock and roll guy that he is.
Well, I mean, he really started at a very, very young age. We had a studio in the house, and I would be writing a song or putting something down, and I went in while he was doing his homework. I said, come in here, I want you to punch me in on this vocal. He goes, what's a punch me in? And so I taught him how to do that. And then he got bit by the bug of music in the first place and just had his own band, but he also learned engineering and production skills. He's pretty well-rounded.
And he filmed the video, too.
Yes, and he's the one playing slide guitar on there.
Then on the note of guitar, you've reunited with partners from both Santana and Journey. It looks like you've got Neil Schon on this record. Talk about bringing Neil on and getting him involved. I saw him in that video, too.
Yeah, Neil, I've known since he was 16, and pretty much got him in Santana. So I just asked him, would you play on something for me? He goes, yeah.
You've known Neil Schon since he was 16. You got him into Santana. Tell that story.
Well, I used to pick him up from high school. And the way I've always put it, he wasn't really going to high school. He was there, but he'd sit out in the quad and play guitar. And I used to pick him up, and when Santana was doing Abraxas, we'd go up there and jam and bring him up there. And finally, Carlos says, what do you think about having two guitar players? Well, I kind of was directing it that way in the first place, but I really wanted to see that because they play so differently, but it could be really interesting and kind of eclectic and cool. And it ended up they teaching each other stuff, and it was really good. And so Carlos asked, what do you think about that? I said, what a great idea. and that's kind of how that happens on my side of it. It's like I couldn't ask Carlos, hey, what do you think about having another guitar player? It's like, that's kind of insulting.
Right.
So that's not going to work. So I didn't do it. And it had to come from him.
Well, how cool was it when you did that Santana Reunion? I was looking at the press release for the new record, and you talk a little bit about that, Santana 4, I guess it was called. Speak to how that came together.
Well, Santana 4 was kind of Neil Schon's idea, actually. He kind of peppered Carlos with it, and Neil was telling me, we're going to do this. And I said, Neil, I'm going to wait to talk to Carlos. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic idea, but this is like a smoke and mirrors thing. Let's not do that. So I got home and I called Carlos, and I said, Carlos, you want to do this? Is this true? He goes, yeah. And I want to call it Santana 4 because the band stopped at Santana 3. I said, that's brilliant. I'm in. And then recording the stuff, the music came rapidly. It's kind of like riding a bicycle in a lot of ways. Just wish we had played more dates. We only did 3 heavy dates, and wish we had done about 30. We played New York, Madison Square Garden, Allentown Coliseum, and Mohegan Sun Coliseum.
Wow, that's
on the
it.
East Coast. But it was Journey and Santana. And Neil sat in with us, and I did not sit in with Journey. There was a couple of guys that didn't want me to do that, so I said, okay, no, I won't. Neil did, but that's the way that went, too. But it was a great idea. Just they didn't take it all the way, and they could have and should have, and that's my thought on it. But that's the way it goes.
That's interesting. Switching gears, this Ringo thing has not been a small part of your life. You've been part of Ringo Starr's all-star band for some time.
Getting into Ringo's band was like a pretty trippy thing for me because, well, first of all, I got to meet Ringo, and my first inclination and story to them when they asked me to come and do this was, "Are you sure you got the right guy?" So I got the music, and I was a little nervous on going to the first rehearsal. I worked on it for quite a while and learned the stuff as best I could. So when I think back on, "Are you sure you got the right guy?" Well, 7-8 years later, I guess I do this kind of thing.
That's what it is.
After all.
That first rehearsal, where was it? And did you bring along your Hammond rig and Leslie and stuff?
No, it was B3 that was there. It was all Reynolds stuff. And at any rate, I got there, checked out the B3. It's cool. And it was in Falls View in Niagara Falls.
And obviously, growing up when you did, to get the opportunity so many years later in your life to get to work with Ringo.
When I was, 15 years old or whatever, I got bit by the bug, the Beatle bug, like everybody else.
Before you ever got to meet him and then work with him for all these years, had you ever seen either him solo or the Beatles or any of the Beatles live?
I saw the Beatles at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, and it drove me nuts because all the girls were screaming. I wanted to hear them. And they were all screaming. You couldn't hear anything. And it angered me. It was like, God, shut up, right? And then afterwards, I was going, wait a minute, that's pretty cool that you get that many people all frenzied over what you're doing.
Yeah, it became such a phenomenon. The hysteria overpowered their musical thing. You hit the nail on the head. Before we wrap it up, we do have to acknowledge your deep connection to this state, where not only were you here with Santana making their Hawaii debut back in 1970, but on the note of Journey made their Hawaii debut on January 1st, 1974, New Year's Day Diamond Head Crater Festival, and you guys had only done your first public gig the night before in the San Francisco Bay Area. Is that correct?
That's true. We played, Santana played the Crater Festival a lot. We loved coming there and playing there.
Do you have a first memory, or what?
Well, just the fact that I'm sitting in a volcano. What the hell is going on here? And it was during those days, man. A lot of hippies, very cool, no problems, no fighting, no nonsense. Just everybody goes to play, and I loved all that. I loved those times. They were great, and I loved being in Hawaii. I mean, I've been there, 30, 40 times in my life. Playing there in that place, coming through the tunnel and all that stuff. It was like, what a trip.
Right, the tunnel that you got to drive through to get into the crater.
Yeah.
And that's cool because I actually interviewed you one time in 2007 in the crater. If you recall, they did a pair of Crater Fests in 2006 and 2007, and you played that 2007 one.
I remember that. It was with Mick Fleetwood too, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. Mick Fleetwood Band was on board at that one, and it's cool because it's just like a lot of the time you've been here with some very interesting cats. Like your very first time, you mentioned coming here with Santana. It was the Waikiki Shell in May of 70.
I remember being there with Santana. It was awesome. And we stayed at what was called the Otani Mansion.
Right, for several weeks.
On Diamond Head. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been any better. What a way to visit.
When are we going to get you back out here, Gregg?
I don't know. I'm working on all this stuff. I'm going out with Ringo this summer. I'm doing this new music, and my next trip would be to do something with these guys.
It's Gregg Rolie from Santana, Journey, Ringo Starr's all-star band more recently, and back with a new solo record, Sonic Ranch, and new song, What About Love. Good to talk with you again, Gregg.
All right, thanks, brother.
And I hope you had fun talking today.
I did. Always do. I would talk to you anytime. You can make room for me. I'm there.
Thanks, Gregg.
All right, buddy. Take care.